Why do humans live in their heads if it makes them so unhappy? I want you to explain that to me, Isha.
Humans don't want to live in their heads. They live in their heads because bit by bit they start to disconnect from what they really feel. They do it to protect themselves. Hi everyone, I'm Isha Judd. Thank you for joining me. I know a lot of you have been following me in my YouTube channel. So I've decided to do something completely different. I'm doing a podcast which is very light, full of fun, and it's going to still be about consciousness, but I'm going to incorporate some very special friends of mine. And my friends fundamentally are animals, because animals have such an innate wisdom. They live in their hearts and always in the present moment. So I'm going to introduce some of my guests to you, and they're going to teach us how to be in the present moment, how to enjoy our lives more. And with their teachings, and also with my teaching of unification and present moment awareness and empowerment, maybe we can manage to have more fun in our lives, more joy in our lives, and lighten up a little bit, yes? So the most important animal in my life happens to be Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is a British Bulldog. So before I introduce you to Elizabeth, who's very entertaining, and she thinks that humans are very, very complicated, and she might have a point, no? I would like you to push like, or if you want to continue, to subscribe. Okay, so let me introduce you to Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Hi everyone, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you, Isha, for inviting me. And I know we spend a lot of time talking between us, but I think it's very nice that you can incorporate me in talking with your audience. So, first and foremost, I have a question for you. Tonight, on our way home, when we went for our little walk, so I could do pee pee poo poo. Can I say that on camera? Pee pee poo poo. We passed by a house that was absolutely full of lights and very, very loud music. And many humans were there. They were laughing, they were dancing. Lots of them were very excited. But I noticed others were very, very quiet. Some were sitting apart, and they were looking far away, as if they were somewhere else. So some humans become so noisy, but the others are very quiet. Why is there so many different ways of being in the same place, in the same situation? I remember you said to me, it's because they're never in the moment. But isn't it in the moment that everything is? How can they not be in the moment if they are living in the moment? I really don't understand all this. And how do they become present in the moment? This is life, no?
Well, Betsy, it's a good question. You know, humans are very complex and they have different experiences. Like some people at the party are drinking and having fun, and other people, maybe they're sad. That's why they're sitting separate, or maybe they're shy, or maybe they're worried about their image. You know, humans have many things going on at the same time. And some of them don't know how to communicate. Some of them are so worried about what other people think, they can't lighten up. They can't enjoy their lives. They can't be free. Not like you just do whatever you want in each moment. But most humans are either worrying about what other people think, or they're consuming so much they don't even realize what they're doing. They're just having fun. And yes, it's true what you said. How can they not be in the moment if they're living in the moment? Well, the thing is, they're living in their heads. And when humans live in their heads, They go forward and they go back. And they're not free just to sit in their hearts and enjoy themselves.
If that's the case, how can I help them to be in the moment? When people are sad, can I help? Because in the moment, everything was nice, but the person was not there. And what can I do when they feel like that? Remember, I told you that there was a person looking far away. That person, he talked to somebody that someone would no longer be with them, that person was missing, and they weren't happy. But how can they laugh about that if someone they love's no longer there? How can they feel about that? Because she didn't know where she was. She was too busy thinking about the other person.
Well, sometimes, Betsy, people lose people, and life seems insignificant when those people leave. Sometimes they get divorces, sometimes people die, sometimes people just leave. And for some people, it's a very sad moment, and they have to go through a mourning where they feel all their emotions and go deep into their sadness. And sometimes they feel like they have to be happy even when they're not happy. When everyone's celebrating, they feel guilty if they're not enjoying themselves. So that's why you constantly see these mixed emotions. Nothing's very clear. It's because humans are always looking for external approval. They don't love themselves unconditionally, and they don't sit in their hearts. If they were sitting in their hearts like you, they'd be free to be whoever they are in each moment. For example, if you're angry, you bark. If you're hungry, you eat. You know, if you hit your leg, you yelp. But most humans are controlling everything in accordance with how they think they need to be. And that's why they don't experience freedom nor the present moment.
Well, that's something that really confuses me. Why do humans live in their heads if it makes them so unhappy? I want you to explain that to me, Isha.
Humans don't want to live in their heads. They live in their heads because bit by bit they start to disconnect from what they really feel. They do it to protect themselves. When they're born, they're like puppies. They're totally in the moment, totally innocent, totally open. And then things start to transpire in their lives. And when these things transpire, they feel that they have to change. They start looking for external love because the outside's so strong and they're always needing to find approval. So you imagine when a baby's born, they're like you. They're living in that place of peace. If they're sad, they cry. If they're angry, they scream. Whatever happens, they just respond through their emotions. But soon they start to walk, they start to talk, and then they start to communicate. And then they have to adjust how they're being to fit into society. This all starts from a very early age, and they start to lose their innocence. The difference between you and humans is you're completely innocent. You don't think about what you're doing. And if something affects you, you don't repeat it. If something hurts you, you don't go and do it again. But humans are not like that, Betsy. Humans are very complex and they have a lot of fear. They have a lot of fear about fitting in with what society wants. And that varies in accordance to what society you live in, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man. There's so much control and so many ideas of how we need to be.
Oh my goodness, this is so complicated. It's very hard to be a human. I used to just think they were strange, but now I'm seeing it's a very big job to be human because everyone's saying, don't cry, don't do this, don't do that. And everyone compares and corrects and controls. It's like they live in a prison. No one's got any freedom. And sometimes I think they start to believe they are the voices in their head. I think sometimes they go completely into their heads and they can't enjoy anything at all.
There's so much control and so many ideas and so many bees. Be careful, be better, don't feel, don't cry, don't be angry. And it confuses humans to the point where they don't act spontaneously, they act from a place of fear.
So let me understand this. The mind becomes like a refuge, a place where they try to protect themselves from pain, from rejection, from loss, from uncertainty. But the refuge, it becomes a prison. The mind never rests. It's always searching for dangers and mistakes, and it's also searching for what's missing. I see this so clearly now, and I'm starting to feel very sad for all the humans who are always worried about what could go wrong. It's very, very sad.
You know, I understand what you're saying, Betsy. And yes, it's true. And people can come out of that situation. They can heal their past. They can start to be more focused on love instead of looking for external approval. But it's a process. And it's a process that's sometimes quite painful. And a lot of people don't want to change because even though they're not happy in their lives, they want to stay where they're comfortable. Comfort often resembles pain because they have fear of being more. But what humans don't realize is when you walk through your fears, the whole world changes. Your perception changes, your experience changes, you start to live more in your heart, you start to focus more on appreciation and gratitude instead of constantly looking for what's wrong. So, this is what's important and vital for humanity that they learn to love themselves unconditionally, like you do, Betsy. You're always loving yourself unconditionally. In fact, you're a complete princess. You rule the house.
Yeah, it's true. I'm a princess, but that's because you named me Elizabeth. It's only natural that I'm going to be a princess. Now, so I want to discuss something else. I notice that humans walk around looking very tired, even when their bodies haven't moved, and they seem to get old very quickly. Is that because they've got so much stress? How can they come out of that stress? How can they start to feel again, not analyze, not judge, just to be quiet in their minds? Not because they're forcing themselves to stop, but because it's no longer needed. How can the presence of this moment return by itself? Because you say it's something that they've always had, but they've just forgotten it. How can they learn to remember?
That's a good question, Betsy. You know, people need to give time to themselves, to be in silence, to be in nature, to put their telephones down, and to connect internally. If they have an emotion, allow themselves to move instead of constantly running away from it. Humans are stressed because they're so busy. They're always busy avoiding themselves, running around, looking after other people, but not giving time to them. Because on some level, they think to give time to themselves is to be selfish. And this is one of the things that we've been taught. We have to give to everyone else and abandon ourselves. But when we start to take responsibility, and that's a big word, responsibility for how we're being, we start to become masterful creators within our lives. When we're not responsible, we're always being victims, blaming the outside for our discontent, blaming the outside for our problems. And every day, because of this, the stress accumulates. and accumulates until it becomes too much. And quite often, we're not only stressed, we start to become sick. And yes, you're right, we start to look old because it's not that we're physically exhausted, we're mentally exhausted, trying to keep up with the outside. So I've got a great idea, Betsy. Why don't you teach people how to be more in the present moment? You seem to have mastered it. You show them what you suggest.
Wow, really? You think I can teach the people how to be in the moment? Okay, well, I'm going to give it my best shot. You know, I'm always trying to give things my best shot, Isha. Okay, humans, you need to listen. First, just stop for a moment and put your attention in your heart and feel where your body is. And when you're there, just slowly start to breathe. Breathe in. That's it. You see, now you're here. If you feel something strange inside, if you feel sad or angry, don't run away from it. Just stop and sit with it. Allow yourselves to feel exactly what's going on, as if you're sitting next to a really good friend in silence. But you're going to be your best friend. Breathe, stay, and see if it changes by itself. Try listening, not thinking, just listening. A bird, the wind, a sound that brings you back to the present moment. Sometimes just lay in the sun and feel so warm. It's so nice to lay in the sun. You can try that as well. But the most important thing is you're not thinking. What could possibly go wrong? If your mind feels busy, come back to your breath. Think something that you're grateful for and breathe in again and out again, and then you are here again. And remember, in this moment, you don't need to fix anything. Just to be here is enough. When you eat, try to taste the food. Don't just shovel it down. That's one of my biggest problems. I tend to just shovel it down. But try not to shovel it down. Just eat and taste it slowly. If you feel lost, look around and notice something small that brings you back to the moment. The most important thing is to say nothing, to think nothing, and just be here. That will solve many of your problems. And you'll start to see that your problems are not really problems. You'll start to see that the truth is, I don't mean to be rude, but maybe you're the problem.
You're so right, Betsy. It's true. There's no problem, and we are the problem. And we need to start seeing that and taking responsibility. It's a process, but with your help, I'm sure we can all do that, Betsy. I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. I hope you all enjoyed being with Betsy. I tell you, she's very wise and she has lots of great ideas to improve our life. So join me next week and we'll have a different subject. Thank you for being here. I'm Isha Judd.
And I'm Betsy.